everybody. Let's do this. Here we go!
Hello Musketeers, welcome to Mondays with Mickey. My name is Mike Tanicki and I am your host. And this week I wanted to have just a quick chat, essentially. You know, we've been talking about our upcoming trip, we've been talking about all the things you can do at Disney, you know, particularly Walt Disney World, because obviously that's where we go. But one of the things that I hear all the time, and I figured I might as well go ahead and do an episode talking about it, is why do we keep going back? Why Disney? Well, what about Disney, specifically Walt Disney World, you know, warrants going back multiple times, you know, for our only vacations? Because the reality is, with our finances and just the way our life works, we don't have the ability to take many vacations. And, you know, the last 3 real vacations we've taken over the last decade has been Walt Disney World. So, you know, people ask me why we keep going back. What about Walt Disney World draws us back? Are there things for adults? You know, or is it all just for kids? That kind of thing. And I guess let me start by, you know, giving the cheesiest answer first. The cheesiest answer, but a very true answer, is the magic. You know, Walt Disney World, it's and all the Disney parks really, they are a special flavor of entertainment. And, you know, they talk about the Disney bubble. It really does encapsulate magic. You know, it's really hard to describe for those who've never been there. And it's a palpable, an actual feeling you get when you go. You know, some people think I'm cheesy. You know, if you rewind back to my first trip to Walt Disney World, gosh, almost 18 years ago at this point. You know, I went as a senior in high school. I was 18. I wanted to go. It was on my bucket list. You know, it was one of those things. I had a bucket list when I was a younger kid, but that's a whole other subject. But it was one of those things I wanted to do before I died. And, you know, when I was told we were going, I was excited, but there was a part of me that goes, you know, really? You're going to wait until I'm essentially an adult before we get to go? I mean, I'm glad I'm going, but what's the point? And it took me actually going to see it in a different light. Now, with Walt Disney World, you know, when Walt Disney decided to create Disneyland, we'll start there. He wanted to create a place where parents and children can go and be entertained together. You know, there's a story about him sitting on a bench, a park bench, while his kids were playing on a carousel. And he was just sitting there watching them have fun. And it dawned on him, why isn't there a place where parents and children can go together and have a good time together? And that's what he sought out to make when he created Disneyland. And with Disneyland, it was the prototype, if you will. You know, there was a lot of things that he realized he did wrong. A lot of things he didn't like about Disneyland. He loved the park. Please don't mistake that. Particularly Disneyland fans, don't mistake that. He loved the park. That was his baby. But there were certain things that irked him. Certain oopses that he didn't realize until later. seeing a cowboy walking through Tomorrowland destroyed the magic. Destroyed the storytelling that he was attempting to convey to the people visiting Disneyland. And the fact that all the businesses that cropped up around Disneyland, as far as the hotels and restaurants and all that jazz that had cropped up around Disneyland, one, keeping it from expanding, but two, also creating a nasty congestion just outside the park, helped kill the magic for, Disneyland a little bit. And he hated that. It drove him crazy. That's why when he went and created Walt Disney World, he tried to be very quiet about how he obtained the land until it was too late, until somebody leaked it. He probably would have obtained more had, people not leaked it and the prices skyrocketed. But he wanted seclusion. He wanted it to be encapsulated, and when you get there, you go into another world. That's where that Disney bubble, concept comes from. He wanted to create a world unto itself. And Walt Disney World was kind of like Disneyland 2.0. Actually, originally it was just Disney World. It wasn't going to be Walt Disney World. It became Walt Disney World after Walt had passed, and his brother wanted to make sure people understood that this was his dream and his vision. So that's why he changed it to Walt Disney World from just plain old Disney World. Now, most people still call it Disney World these days, but the full name is truly Walt Disney World. And Walt wanted that bubble. He wanted you to leave the world you live in and go into a world of fantasy, dreams, and just be in that. And that was something we encountered. You arrive at Walt Disney World, and whether you're a child, an adult, particularly as an adult, let me throw that out there. I mean, child is one thing. It's easier for a child's imagination to run wild and just have fun and enjoy themselves. An adult's a little different. We have responsibilities. We are responsible for a home. We're responsible for our cars, our bills, making sure our children are being educated properly, making sure we have food on our table. There's so much on our plates in the real world. And when you enter Walt Disney World, particularly, a lot of times when you cross that arch that says "Welcome to Walt Disney World," before you even go to a park, especially if you're staying on property, all of your outside stress, all those things that you have to worry about, all those adulting type things that you have to think about, don't matter. They do. I mean, don't get me wrong. They do matter. We're adults. They do. But when you're there, it's out of sight, out of mind. And for a brief time while you're there, you actually get to relax. Now, don't get me wrong. Every time we go, I need a vacation from my vacation when I get back, because there's no such thing as really relaxing physically. I'm working 8-hour days at work, and coming home, relaxing, whatever, going to bed and going back to work, to doing 16-hour days at Walt Disney World. Now, it's fun. I really enjoy myself, so mentally it's fantastic. It is a break mentally. Physically, not so much. But, that's the point. It is a place to get away from everything. And like I said, it was, his idea was he wanted a place that you could get away from everything, and a place that children and adults could have fun together. Now, a lot of people say, well, isn't Disney World or Disneyland all about kids? Well, yeah, there is a lot for kids. But what they've done is they've been very meticulous in making sure that these attractions aren't just for kids, that adults can enjoy them. Yes, there are rides and attractions that are more kid-friendly than others. Your dark rides like Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, Small World. These are definitely kid-oriented rides. These are definitely rides that cater to children more. Goofy's Sky School or whatnot. I'm drawing a blank on the name of his Barnstormer. The Barnstormer is technically a kid coaster. It's for an adult, it's still fun. It's very short, but for an adult, it's still fun. But it is technically geared towards kids. And that was his point. Even the childlike rides, like those dark rides, are fun for adults. But they're fun in a different way. Whereas kids are seeing their favorite characters. Like, oh, there's Winnie the Pooh. Or, oh, look, there's Tinkerbell. There's Peter Pan. Oh, wow, we're flying over London. Hey, look, we're in a honey pot. Look at Tigger. He's bouncing. Whatever. Kids love that kind of thing, right? Adults love it too. But they love it for a different reason. They love it because it's nostalgic. It is bringing back memories from when they were children. They're seeing old friends, old characters that they can relate to, things that remind them of growing up and not having a care in the world. Again, appealing back to that, let's take the adulting and set it to the side and just see the world through the eyes of a child again and just be there and enjoy and have fun. Obviously there's adult things there that adults can enjoy. There's alcohol there now. But in Magic Kingdom, it's been a recent change. You can find adult beverages pretty much all across Walt Disney World now. There are adult activities like spas, golfing, parasailing, fishing, all that kind of stuff. They're all adult ways of having fun. You could theoretically go to a resort and never go into a park and have a great time as an adult, and as a kid to some degree too. So there's definitely adult-oriented things, and there's kid-oriented things like Disney Junior, which is actually, if it's not gone away yet, it's getting ready to go away. Disney Junior is definitely a kid-oriented thing. That's actually getting ready to go away. It's going to be replaced by a Cars attraction, which should be interesting. But, they try to make sure there's something for everybody. Even the biggest Scrooge, I can tell you, there is something there they'll enjoy. Be it the smart aleck antics on the Jungle Cruise, watching Happily Ever After at the castle, which I've never seen in person, but from the videos, it is amazing. I cannot wait to see it in person this September. There's just so much there. There's shows like The Lion King or Finding Nemo, Fantasmic. The word is perfect for it. It's freaking fantastic. It's Fantasmic. Stuff like that. If you're a Star Wars fan, gosh, Hollywood Studios is basically the Star Wars park right now. Toy Story, for those feeling nostalgic for Toy Story, the Toy Story Land's awesome. Heck, Pandora. That's not even a Disney property. That's James Cameron doing his thing. Pandora is a sight to behold, and Disney snagged it. They've got some more adult rides like, Expedition Everest, Tower of Terror, technically Rock and Roller Coaster. These rides are all more adult-oriented. I mean, they're definitely made so kids can have fun and enjoy, but they're adult-oriented. Then you got other rides like Slinky Dog, which is technically a kid's coaster, but it's borderline right there on an adult coaster. So kids will have fun, adults can have fun. So, one thing to remember, particularly with Walt Disney World, is this place is the same footprint on the earth as the city of San Francisco. Let that sink in. Walt Disney World is the size of a major city. If you hear the meowing, that is the cat. She is none too thrilled about the fact that Mom went outside and she's trying to get Mom's attention. So if you're hearing meowing, just a disclaimer, that would be Belle. And since her name is kind of Belle, as in a Disney name, because her full name is Isabel Rose, there you go. So if you're hearing meowing, it is Disney oriented. It's just Disney oriented screaming for Mom. So we're just gonna go with it. So why do we keep going back? Well, like I said, it is the size of San Francisco. So one part of that is the fact that you will never go and do everything. Unless you're going to spend like 4 weeks there. You're never going to do everything that can be done. So there'll always be something worth going back for and experiencing. 2, they change stuff. Again, we only go about every 3 or 4 years. We can't afford to go more often. Heck, we can barely afford to go every 3 or 4 years, to be honest. It is expensive, let's just face it. And that's one of the things people ask me. It's so expensive, why do you go? But we'll get to that in a second. So we go every 3 or 4 years, and every 3 or 4 years, there's a lot has changed. Since what was there last, Pandora has opened. It wasn't open when we were there last. Toy Story Land has opened. It wasn't there when we were there last. The next time we go, there's going to be Star Wars that'll be open. That opens next year. You'll have, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway will be open. You'll have Ratatouille open. Guardians of the Galaxy will be open. The Tron Light Cycle Coaster will be open. The Skyway is going to be open. Hopefully we'll have the whole brand new monorail fleet. You know, there is so much that changes over the course of just a couple of years at Walt Disney World that every time you go, it's a different experience. And it's not cookie cutter either. Every time you go, even if you go on multiple days in a row, it's not the same experiences every single time. Different things happen. You know, cast members break out magical opportunities or magical things, you know, that you wouldn't expect based off of what's going on. They might see a little girl who's not, you know, who has some kind of a physical condition, and you might get to see them, you know, take her backstage to meet her favorite characters, or, you know, they might, you know, something as simple as, hey, I dropped my cheeseburger egg rolls. They might, you know, come back and say, here, I saw that happen. Here's some brand new ones. You know, just little things like that, you know, that change the flavor of the day, that take a thing that could have been like, figures, and making it special again. So, you know, the point is every experience is different. Every day is different. The weather changes things. There's different versions of different parades based off the weather. So every time you go, the experience is different. Yes, you can go do the same things over and over and over again, and they'll be similar. But the cast members, say you go to meet and greet characters, cast members are human beings. They don't have scripts. They've learned their characters. They know who they are, who they're supposed to be. But they don't have scripts, and they kind of go with it. And the more you put into it, the more they put into it, and it becomes something amazing. So, you know, repeatability, I guess is the term. Walt Disney World, and, well, any of the Disney parks really, are fantastic at making sure that every time you go is a unique, magical, and special experience. Now, to the point I was just making a second ago, well, what about the money, man? It is really expensive. And to that, you're right. It absolutely is. You know, somebody made a comment to me years ago, the first time I took my family, saying, why are you spending this money on going to Disney? Put that money to the side. You know, save it for a down payment on a house. And I thought about that. I was like, you know, on one side, you're right. You know, maybe I should save this money for a house. But then, two things popped in my head. One, I know us. You know, that tax money, it's going to find something else. Life will find a way to spend that money. Be it car repairs, unexpected this or unexpected that. Hey, we want to go out to eat. We want to go out to eat. Oh, I want to get this. I want to buy that. The money will find a way to spend itself. So, saving it is a harder prospect than it sounds. That's one. Two, we decided that we wanted to have these memories with our children. That houses come and go. I can always start a house anytime I want. I can always start saving for a down payment for a house. Right now I'm renting. I don't need necessarily to own a house. Yeah, it's a little cheaper, so in that respect it's a good thing. But it's not a burning need that I have to have, you know, a house that I own. However, my children, and I have my whole life to do that if I want to do that. If I decide I want to buy a house, I have my whole life to make that decision and do that. My children, however, they will only be their age so long. You know, this will be the first Disney trip in September that we're going that my daughter won't be with us. And I have to let that soak in. She gets married in a week. By the end of this week, before the next Mondays with Mickey comes out, my daughter will be a married woman. And had I decided to take that advice and say, you know what, no, we're going to save this money to buy a house. Yeah, I might have a house that I own that I'm paying on, obviously a mortgage, whatever, but I might have a house. I'd still have a roof over my head regardless, but I might actually own a house that is mine, but I wouldn't have those memories with her. Those special memories that she will remember as an adult, and hopefully she will want for her children. We wouldn't have those. So, to the money point, yeah, it's expensive. It really is. But the memories and the experiences and the magic, it is hard to put a price on that. It really is. You know, there's a line from Once Upon a Time, the TV show Once Upon a Time. Rumpelstiltskin says it all the time. He says, all magic comes at a price, dearie. And, you know, he puts that in the line of saying, yeah, I can fix your this, or I can fix that, I can do this for you, but there is a price for that. Be it something that you pay him directly, or karma coming around and biting you in the butt because you did something bad to somebody. But, you know, in this case, yeah, there is a price to enjoying the magic at Walt Disney World. And it's a hefty one. But for me, for my family, it is worth it. You know, and it's hard to explain the magic to somebody who's never been there. It really is. You know, most people have been to some kind of theme park, be it Six Flags or something of that nature, Carowinds. So it's really hard to describe the magic to somebody who's never been there. But it is noticeable. It is discernible. It's not something that you say in cheesy and jest. Somebody who's been there, it's not something that you... They're apparently having a conversation in there. It's not something that those who've been say in jest, or in being in joking or whatever, or sarcasm. People who've been there and have experienced it know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you will once you get a chance to go. I highly recommend it. And if you go, I suggest staying on property, because yeah, you can make it cheaper by staying off property, but there's something about being in that bubble 24/7, making sure that none of the outside world gets in to remind you of the world we really live in. That, yeah, it stands out. It's something special. So that's about it. Like I said, this week I just wanted to kind of talk about why we go to Walt Disney World, and you know, why we love it so much. Maybe it was a pointless episode. I don't know. If you've gotten this far, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me ramble about why I like Disney. You know, I could go on and on about experiences, like my son's first seeing the castle, or my son meeting and falling in love with Belle, and then fast forward years later, going to Enchanted Tales with Belle, and him being picked as the Beast, so he gets to dance with her and be the love of, you know, her life in that attraction. So there's just so much when it comes to magic and experiences that I would never trade, and frankly, the money is worth those experiences. I could eat it. I could eat a big tub of ice cream, or I could watch my son dance with Belle. The money makes sense. So, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. If you liked what I had to say, please like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We have so much more coming up. Like I said, I have a trip in September, and we're going to be posting videos from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, videos from every day at the park. We're going to be spending pretty much a couple days in every single park. The only parks that are in question, how many days we're spending, are going to be Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. I think we're going to do a day and a half in Hollywood Studios and a full day Animal Kingdom. But you know, it's going to be a fun trip. It's going to be an amazing trip. I can't wait to share it with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You know, if you like the video, you know, or you like where we're going with this, go ahead and like this video. I would truly appreciate it. I can't tell you how much that helps. I'm going to leave you as I leave you every single week. I hope you never lose sight of one thing. This was all started by a mouse. Thank you once again so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.